after someone on Twitter accused actress Megan Fox of child abuse, posting a picture of her boys dressed up in girls' clothing. Megan Fox made it clear that they are messing with the wrong witch and even joked about performing a carcass-eating ritual outside of the man's house, as we take a look at her trip to hell and the mainstreaming of witchcraft.
Wow, people saying stupid stuff on Twitter? You don't say. Quick, call the FBI and tell them to tell Twitter to take it down.
Nixie, you stand before us accused of witchcraft. If you repent, you shall be rewarded greatly. However, if you do not, thou shalt burn for eternity in raging hellfire.
Wait, you're saying that my punishment is that I get to burn for eternity in hellfire? Bring it on!
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Well, our purer-than-thou friends at Good Fight Ministries have decided that Megan Fox is a witch, despite there being no statement from Megan herself claiming she is. They start off their condemnation by criticizing her parenting skills and piling on to the accusations of child abuse. Megan Fox did not post this picture of her children. It was posted by a disgruntled neighbor for whatever reason. Now, I'm no child psychologist, nor an expert on gender dysphoria. With all the confusion and rumors surrounding this topic, I'm not going to be talking about this issue, but merely setting the stage for the reason for this recent Twitter controversy. With that disclaimer out of the way, I hope you enjoy the video.
Welcome back to the Good Fight Radio Show. I'm your host, Chad Davidson of Good Fight Ministries. And on today's episode, we are going to be looking at Megan Fox and some of her witchcraft.
Megan Fox does not identify as a witch.
Her trips to hell and even some of her ritualistic sex magic.
Drinking a few drops of your spouse's blood is not sex magic. This may sound weird to some, but consenting adults and married couples may swallow other body fluids. But a few drops of blood? Hold on, that's too far. Suddenly everybody gets their panties all up in a knot.
A ton of young people are the ones that are clicking on these things, that are following these actresses and actors and so forth, that push these ideas.
What about the influence you have over your audience? You have over 172,000 people following you. How many of them are getting angry or fearful based off your misconceptions? They went off on some tangent about Hollywood going after our kids. First off, parents have parental control over their children. They are not your children. If you want to raise your children and put them in dresses, that's your right as a parent to do so. And statistically speaking, your child is safer with a drag queen than they are with a handsy Father Bill. If you're done playing off the fears of your Christian followers, can we get back to mislabeling Megan Fox as a witch?
Plenty of people pointed out it's not just Megan Fox, who we're going to be talking about specifically, especially when it comes to witchcraft and so forth, but there are a number. Angelina Jolie. I mean, we could go down the list.
Megan Fox and Angelina Jolie are witches? I definitely picked the right religion. Oh, man, I knew it was too good to be true. What is it with you bigots and your projection onto others as to what their beliefs are? Marina Abramovich, Megan Fox, and now Angelina Jolie.
I'm going to read from a little bit of the controversy so you guys can see it. And Robbie Starbuck, he actually is the one who originally posted this.
Controversy? You mean a single tweet? I'm going to skip ahead since the goal of my video is to focus on the witchcraft accusations and not her parenting skills. I don't have any experience with gender dysphoria or child psychology. I will leave that to others more qualified.
I mean, I don't know what exactly is going through her head. I mean, people could say it's demonic, it's spiritual, she's into witchcraft.
It doesn't have anything to do with your Bible's adoption and twisting of the Greek word daimon. For the second or maybe third time now, she does not identify as a witch. And even if she does, so the fuck what? Being a witch or not has nothing to do with how her children dress. Witchcraft is not dogmatic. There are no tenets that you have to dress your children a certain way. I know you really want to generate fear and anger towards witches by throwing all this into the mix, but all you are doing is conflating and clouding an issue that already has much misinformation surrounding it.
And she's, demonically possessed and being used to promote this whole thing, which that could be a pretty good argument, right?
No, it is a crappy argument rooted in the most paranoid, delusional, superstitious fears of Christians such as yourself. Megan Fox is not demonically possessed. Clinical studies and more research based in science, logic, and reason needs to be applied to gender dysphoria, not paranoid delusions of demonic spirits possessing people. We cannot cure gender dysphoria by drilling holes in people's heads to let the demons out.
Others could say, well, she's narcissistic and she wishes she had a girl and she's forcing them to dress like that because, of course they're going to learn from mama. This is the way you ought to dress. It's be normalized to them. So maybe they're going to end up all of a sudden be with other guys when they're together, get AIDS, or who knows what can happen. I mean, there's several sexually transmitted diseases.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
All right, slow down there, Skippy. If her kids are not suffering from gender dysphoria, then they will return to the gender they identify with when they are age 18 or leave home. It does not mean they will automatically become gay and contract a venereal disease. Can we get back to the witchcraft accusations?
Megan Fox, when Noah was 3.5 years old, actually did an interview with the Los Angeles Times because she claims that since the age of 8, she basically has been speaking in tongues, actually. Yeah. And I want to show that because I'll read exactly what she said. She said, I've seen magical, crazy things happen. I've seen people be healed, speaking of her being brought up at attending in a Pentecostal church in Tennessee and so forth. And this is what she said, even now in the church I go to during praise and worship, I could feel that I was maybe getting ready to speak in tongues and I'd have to shut it off because I don't know what the church would do if I started screaming out in tongues.
I often hear Christians speaking about seeing miracles and people being healed. Is this part of your argument that she practices witchcraft? Because all you are doing is building up a case that she identifies as some form of Christian denomination.
In the back. Now, this is after she had already been dressing her child up as a little girl who is a little boy.
Yeah, she's trying to draw Christians into her gig.
Right, 100%.
Are we back to this again? Seriously, stay on target. Stay on target.
Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target.
Megan Fox did reply to Robbie Starbuck, and she actually took the picture and posted it on her Instagram. And this is what she said. Hey, Robbie Starbuck, I really don't want to give you this attention because clearly you're a clout chaser. But let me teach you something. Irregardless of how desperate you may become at any given time to acquire wealth, power, success, or fame, never use children as leverage or social currency.
See, this is why Twitter can be so toxic, because it encourages these public fights. Whatever is going on between those two is really their problem. Posting these things on Twitter just amplifies it.
It's exactly what she appears to be doing, bro. That could be a pretty good argument, right? With her own kids?
Why is this guy posting pictures of her children in his tweets? That's not only wrong, it crosses a privacy boundary, and it's a little creepy. If he feels she is abusing her children, Twitter is not the place to be reporting such a thing.
That's, sadly you could... Especially under malevolent and erroneous pretense, exploiting my child's gender identity to gain attention in your political campaign has put you on the wrong side of the universe. I have been burned at the stake by insecure...
Oh, another witchcraft reference.
Yeah.
Burn the witch! Burn the witch!
Do you smoke?
Burn the witch!
Guess we'll find out soon enough.
Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn
Joe got all excited over that one. Joe, innocent people were burned at the stake, accused of being witches by paranoid, delusional, superstitious Christian bigots such as yourself.
insecure, narcissistic, impotent little men like you many times.
There's no coming back from that one.
Have you ever heard of sarcasm? Possibly she's playing off a previous post. But again, if she identifies as a witch, I would happily embrace it. Maybe I could recruit Angelina Jolie.
And yet I'm still here. You blinked with the wrong witch.
What did you expect? You mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Joe, she made it very clear that she's a witch. Now,
she's obviously playing around and having fun with this little spat, playing off a previous post or accusation. You do realize when somebody says, "Oh, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse," they don't actually mean they're going to eat a horse, right? It's sarcasm.
I say that because she also followed it up by posting this story. And it was a story written by the New York Post. And
That's crazy stuff, man.
Basically said, "This is me outside of Rob's Starbucks house."
The same article that has been copy and pasted by every outlet reads this. They were wearing wigs. Good thing they were wearing wigs, and so you can't see their faces. The article goes on to read, "You can't really tell from the photos, but the hoof was brought right up to her mouth," she said. "I don't know if she was kissing it, smelling, or eating it." So, no, they were not eating the corpse. And I'm guessing this was a crafted hoax. They also did not report it to the police, which too seems awfully suspicious as the nurse goes on to claim she is concerned about her horses. If she was actually concerned, she would at least file a police report. So, yeah, Megan Fox is having fun with this ridiculous and obviously fake still shot.
And it is a clip of a newspaper article regarding a woman who went outside, and I'll read from it. It says, "Stunned nurse, I caught witches holding a carcass eating ritual on my security camera."
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Global bullshit. I call bullshit bullshit!
So Joe, she's making it clear that, guess what? I'll perform witchcraft over you if this is the kind of stuff that you're doing because you've messed with the wrong witch.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Are you or loved ones suffering from the lack of a sense of humor? Do sarcastic statements go over your head? There is help. Visit getafuckingclue.com. That's getafuckingclue.com. Don't miss out on sarcastic humor anymore.
Right. She's saying, hey, I'm going to go to Tennessee. I'm sure she's speaking partway in tongue-in-cheek as far as actually doing it, but she's identifying with something that came out a week ago. 2 different women were in the pic, actually just, eating it. It looked like a raw deer,
If you would have read the actual article, Joe, you would know that the nurse was not sure if they were eating it, and they were conveniently wearing wigs to hide their faces.
But she's showing a picture that was out a week or so ago of this witchcraft setting that was supposedly caught on camera and stuff. And she's identifying and saying, I'll do that, because you're messing with the wrong witch. And Chad, you and I know that she is involved in different forms of witchcraft.
No, she is not. And what made these 2 women wearing wigs and touching a deer's foot a witchcraft ritual? And there's no full footage of it. Smells like deer shit to me.
We know that she's involved in some form. It looks like sex magic using blood and so forth.
I'm not going to say it's not hot to give your blood to a man, but let's just have a little discretion when we pick the man.
Drinking a few drops of your spouse's blood during a ritual is not sex magic.
Crowley would use blood and feces and so forth.
I know, Laurel and Hardy here think all other religions are the same, but Crowley did not identify as a witch.
And we actually have a clip of her saying it, so you don't got to take our word for it.
It's just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes only. The trick to having your blood drained is to only share a sexy amount. Obviously, don't give it all up in one go. Amateur hour over here.
She said, for ritual purposes only. Witches are not the only ones that use ritual. Nearly every religion and spiritual practice perform rituals of some sort. It sounds like some ritual they made up for themselves.
Yeah, and also, I'm glad we showed that because we also have something interesting to show as well. She practices what the Bible describes as witchcraft.
God, that sucks.
Many of you know from following our show, and maybe you studied it yourself, but the Hebrew word used for witchcraft in the Old Testament comes from the word cut. And a lot of people understood that, scholars, to be drugs that had been cut up to open you up and get in a different state of consciousness to open yourself to the demonic world.
Not exactly. That is one scholar's opinion of the translation. The original Hebrew word used in Exodus, translated as witch, is, and I'm probably going to seriously mispronounce this, my apologies, is mekashapa. But what that word actually meant when Exodus was written thousands of years ago, we cannot know, leaving us with only modern interpretations. The word mekashapa was translated as witch in the Ben Yehuda Hebrew Dictionary. The dictionary was written by Eliezer ben Yehuda, who is considered by many to be the father of modern Hebrew and who established the Academy of the Hebrew Language. The root of the word kashap is translated as mutterings by the late Merrill F. Unger, biblical scholar and theologian, in his book Biblical Demonology. He, too, essentially interpreted mekashap as witch, specifically one who practices magic by using occult formulas, incantations, and mystic mutterings. However, Kenneth Kitchen, a Bible scholar at the University of Liverpool, translates the root as to cut, and thinks it might refer to cutting herbs. Kenneth Kitchen, Magic and Sorcery, 723. Neither of these scholars mention cutting psychotropic plants or roots. And do you have a clip of Megan Fox naked cutting up drugs next to a deer carcass? Because if you do, let me know.
Right, and the New Testament word is pharmakeia. That's the main New Testament word used for witchcraft, which we get pharmaceutical from, which has to do with you opening yourself up to the demonic world again through drug use.
Oof, that was gross.
That's not what Eliezer ben Yehuda, Kenneth Kitchen, Ann Jeffers, or Reginald Scott wrote. The article goes on to read, that interpretation of mekashapa comes closer to what is said in the Septuagint, the translation of Hebraic traditions into Greek that was written by Jewish sages in around the 3rd century BCE. In the Septuagint, mekashapa was translated into pharmakeia, and Jeffers, lecturer in biblical studies at Haythrop College, translates pharmakeia to herbalist. However, Reginald Scott, a British member of Parliament in the 16th century, witchcraft skeptic and one-time student of Oxford, translated pharmakeia to mean poisoner in his book, The Discovery of Witchcraft. Might Exodus refer to herbalists or poisoners instead of witches? The Septuagint was written by Jewish scholars in ancient Egypt who were fluent in both Greek and Hebrew. That lends credence to the theory that the Hebrew word really did refer more to herbalists or poisoners, not maleficent spellcasters.
The Bible itself is so relevant, you guys.
I'm sure to you it is very relevant.
Translates most of the words witchcraft to pharmakeia. It became this all-inclusive word, not just of drugs, because sometimes it's just speaking of your typical, palmistry and different types of magic divination.
Or Megan Fox.
Or Megan Fox, right.
XOXO me.
But pharmakeia, it definitely imbibes that at times because she and Machine Gun Kelly did ayahuasca, went to the Amazon, and
you sure do like to take liberties with interpreting your Bible. Not all herbs are hallucinogenic, and as Reginald Scott wrote, pharmakeia could be translated as poisoner.
And what did they do? Well, we'll let her discuss what happened because she got a glimpse of her future, it sounds like.
So we went...
Why do you keep blurring her cleavage? It's not obscene, and she's not revealing a nipple. God forbid we should see a female nipple.
Yeah, your nipple's showing.
It's a nipple! It's a little brown circular protuberance. It's a big deal. Hey, everybody's got to look, I got him.
Here's the unedited version. You're welcome. I'm glad I did this because they edited out more than just her cleavage as she goes on to explain her experience in more detail.
We went to Costa Rica to do ayahuasca like in a proper setting, like with indigenous people, and we were in the middle of the jungle. And I was thinking, because the place we went, there's a lot of people like, I don't know if LeBron James has ever gone, but it's like a place where they're like, these kinds of people go here to do ayahuasca. So I was thinking it was like glamping or something like that, still going to be like some kind of 5-star experience. And you get there and you really are in the middle of the jungle and you don't get to eat after like 1 p.m., you have to walk a very far distance to get your water. You can't shower because they're in a drought, so you can't use the water, obviously. Like, you need to respect the rainforest. Nothing glamorous about it. It's all a part of sort of making you vulnerable so that you surrender to the experience. And the entire thing starts with something called vomitivo. I hope I'm allowed to divulge this, that it's okay that I share, but I'm encouraging it. So you go, and we were with 20 other strangers, and you all line up at like the edge of the rainforest over this weird fence, and you go 3 by 3, and you drink lemongrass tea until you, like, by not your own volition, just vomit everything out of your body. So you
have to vomit? There's no way around that part?
You can't get out of it, and you have to vomit a certain amount before they let you get back with everybody. So you're like cheering on everyone as they like throw up. And as like what we do, obviously, we were like, I don't know, am I ready to just like throw up in front of all of these people? But it's such a good bonding experience. And I know it sounds crazy, but that gets you ready to then go into the ceremony that night, because you're like, my vanity is gone. I've just done this in front of all of these strangers, and like now I'm ready to like really open up. So we did it for 3 nights. It was incredibly intense. Everybody's journey is different. The second night, I went to hell for eternity. Yeah. And just knowing eternity is like torture in itself, because there was no beginning, middle, or end. So you have like a real ego death.
Wait, now, how do you arrive and understand that that's what the moment is? Is there a sign, next exit hell?
I mean, it's your own psychological hell, basically, is the point of the medicine, right? This is a medicine that it surpasses like anything you could do with talk therapy or like hypnotherapy or any of those things. It just goes straight into your soul, and it takes you to the psychological prison that you hold yourself in. So it's your own version of hell, and I was definitely there.
Wow. I mean, when you hear her say that, one, it breaks my heart, because if God was trying to wake her up to this, by his grace, to say, hey, this is what you're going into, it seems like she didn't get the lesson, and she's only gone further into witchcraft. And
she's not into witchcraft.
The truth is, a lot of these testimonies of people seeing these things, doing these things, a lot of times they don't go towards God. They actually go away from him, because they're already so much entangled in this witchcraft that it keeps them from the Lord, and they're looking for that high again.
Guess we can't have everything.
And it really is absolutely heartbreaking to think about.
Yeah, 100%, Chad. And it's interesting because she has feigned Christianity for years off and on, right?
She has feigned Christianity, so she wasn't even Christian enough for you. It is so difficult for anyone to meet these Christian bigots' expectations. Whether someone identifies as a witch or a Christian or just spiritual or other is their personal choice. Forcing a label upon them is inconsiderate and rude. Just like if someone identifies as the opposite gender, it is not for us to decide whether they are sincere or not. It has no effect upon you. Anyways, in the words of Bill S. Preston Esquire,
be excellent to each other.
Until next time, my friends, I will see you in hell, you heathens.